Okay, hello, and welcome to Little Nightmares 2 Complete Story Explained. The following contains spoilers for Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 2. I recommend you play both games prior to watching this video as they are both fantastic. A masked boy named Mono awakens from a dream of a door marked with an eye at the end of a long hallway. He journeys through the wilderness and enters a decrepit shack. He frees Six, who is being held prisoner by a masked hunter who lives there. The hunter pursues the pair until he corners them in a shed and they kill him with a rifle. Using a wooden door as a raft, Mono and Six drift across a body of water and wash up on the Pale City beach, which is shrouded by mist and rain and strewn with old televisions. Throughout his journey, Mono attempts to use these televisions as portals to enter the hallway from his dream. However, he is always pulled back by Six before he can reach the door. He also encounters several glitching ghosts of children, which he can also absorb by touching them. Mono and Six enter the school, where they are separated when Six is captured by porcelain bullies, the school's rabid students. Mono rescues Six from the bullies and they escape the Rokurokubi teacher who rules the institution. Well, no, outside the school they discover a yellow raincoat which Six wears. The pair reaches the hospital where they encounter this dismembered mannequin-like patients of the bulbous doctor, whom they see and trap within the incinerator. Mono and Six then exit into the heart of the Pale City. They spot the signal tower which emits a pervasive transmission that controls the Pale City inhabitants. The television addicted viewers whose faces have been distorted, melted off from exposure to the television. When Mono retries to reach the door through the television, a spectral thin man emerges from it and captures Six. Using various televisions as portals, Mono navigates the Pale City until a ghost version of Six leads them to the signal tower, where he confronts and disintegrates the thin man. Mono enters the signal tower and reunites with Six, now a distorted giant. She becomes hostile when he damages her music box, but Mono then turns her back to normal by destroying the box. As the signal tower begins to crumble, the children are pursued by a gelatinous mass of flesh and eyes which form the core of the signal tower. They outrun the mass, but Six allows Mono to fall into a chasm and escapes through a television portal. Alone and surrounded by the mass, Mono sits in a solitary chair and resigns himself to his fate. Time passes and Mono grows older and taller, ultimately taking on the form of the thin man. The camera draws back to reveal Mono, now as an adult, in the room at the end of the dream hallway, and the door closes. If Mono has found all the ghostly children, a scene shows Six encountering a shadow version of herself at the end of the game, and then gestures to a pamphlet on the floor advertising what appears to be the maw. Six's stomach growls with hunger. Okay, when I was playing this game, my first playthrough of this game, I was completely lost. I was under the assumption that this was a sequel, but then throughout the story and the secret ending, you basically figure out through different hints throughout the gameplay that it's in fact a prequel. The main evidence for this is Six and Mono discovering a yellow raincoat, the iconic yellow raincoat which Six wears throughout the entire game of Little Nightmares 1. Secondly, finding a hidden room which has a shrine dedicated to the lady who plays the main antagonist in the first Little Nightmares 1, which means basically that she's alive at that moment in time. And then lastly, of course, is the most realistic piece of evidence, which is the ending, which basically sees Six looking at a pamphlet for the maw, and then the missing pieces, how she gets from that room to the maw. Mono sends a version of his younger self back to the time when he initially met Six, without prior knowledge what Six was. Throughout this game, Six shows numerous times of being quite cold-hearted and ruthless, and quite a little bit on early signs of being evil, as in breaking the fingers off a mannequin or viciously attacking one of the porcelain bullies in the school. 6 in the past has shown indiscriminate hunger and need to devour as much flesh as possible. Lastly, in allowing Mono to fall to his death in the chasm in the final sequence of the game. It shows that 6 is this kind of ruthless, malcontent figure who is trying to seek power. It's still very confusing, the story, and I think, like similar to everything else, it's open to interpretation, and it's purposely meant to be ambiguous. But I think a certain percentage of the populace in this world have the ability to control physics within the world. You could see it in like figures such as the tall lady, and Mono and 6 would be these kind of people. They're able to manipulate the environment and kind of create what type of reality or what type of physics, or basically become versions of gods. You could see this in the first game, where the lady subdued her subjects and gained power by introducing gluttony to the denizens of the Maw in order to retain her power. Similarly, Mono, throughout the entire story and time in the Pale City, basically uses the signal from his tower to broadcast media to basically entrap and draw energy and power from the denizens of the Pale City. So both the tall lady and the thin man are virtually identical, being the kind of main antagonists. But ultimately, I think the true antagonist in both of these games has and always will be 6, as the story is just always about her, even though she played an NPC in this second game. It's more kind of prequel story, but we still don't understand what 6's motivation is for it. This kind of constant hunger that she shows in the first game, and then at the end of this second game shows the kind of that need and want for power. The game I'm still kind of digesting at the moment, so I might come up with different opinions, but the great thing about this game is there is no actual words used other than, whispers and communication whispers and stuff like that, but there's virtually no descriptions, no words whatsoever for the whole game, so you can kind of fill in the gaps as much as you like. The game I found absolutely fantastic. It still had a few little bugs where hitboxes were a bit strange, or sometimes you wanted to grab something and it just wouldn't grab it. But other than, those minor things, which were extremely minor, it was a fantastic game. They improved on a lot of the base stuff that they put into the game in the first Little Nightmares. Basically, they just kind of opened the world up, took you out of the Maw, and then gave you this cool city, and in the city it was divided into 5 chapters. The first is the wilderness, where the story begins. Then after the wilderness, you kind of sail to the second chapter, which is the school. Then the third chapter after that, which is the hospital. Then the fourth chapter after that is the interior of Pale City. And then finally the 5th chapter being the signal tower itself and the ending of the game. Now, I thought the stark contrast between a claustrophobic interior of a ship versus open landscape of a sprawling city, I found that was incredible and very welcomed, and it was good to see their interpretation of what a city would look like in this world, and I was very happy to see it. Overall, I thought the game was fantastic, and I look forward to seeing a sequel. Maybe the adult version of Mono eventually catches up with 6 and what that looks like, or how exactly does 6 get from the Pale City to the Maw. It could be anything. They could introduce another third character. Anything that's in this world I kind of would be interested in seeing, because I kind of find the whole world and game fascinating. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.